Today on Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, we're talking about energy drains. What or who do you have in your life that exhausts you? Are you aware of little things that might be having a big impact on your energy levels? How can your lifestyle be affecting how much pep in your step you have? Learn how to be more aware of what's draining your energy as we finish our month focusing on paying attention. Does your clutter own you? On Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, we'll teach you how to become aware of your clutter along with action steps to declutter and create the life you desire. Come on, let's get started. This is something I'm always trying to be more aware of. If I can and figure out I have an energy leak, then I stop it. Ages ago, I was living in Los Angeles and reading a Cheryl Richardson book. And she talked about having things at the back of your head that kind of were there, but weren't fully conscious, but they were draining your energy. I think that's what she said. And what I realized was for me is I lived in Los Angeles without a cell phone. And they had them, ages ago. Gosh, it's 24 years ago. Think about what the cell phones would have been like. But LA's huge. I was in more than one car accident out there, and not having a cell phone. I remember I just moved there, didn't have a cell phone at the time, and someone put over the freeway to help me, and that was incredibly stressful. So I realized I need to get a cell phone because it's draining me. Even though it wasn't like a huge thing right in front of my face, it was like this daily little deet, 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 drip, 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 drip. And so it was a huge energy drainer. And I realized when I got a cell phone that it helped stop that. Today's episode was also inspired by a life change I made this year. I made a decision at the end of the 2019. I always do a yearly check-in with my former teacher, Judy. If you haven't listened to, I think we have 2 interviews. She's amazing, and she's got this great laugh, which I love. And I do that to just kind of a combination healing and reading and make sure I'm in tune with myself. And I was happy to report that I was really well in tune with myself. But one of the things when she voiced it and did our little check before, I made a decision. I'm not going to work with clients who don't want to do the work. They're on their own life path, A-OK, there's no judgment, and it doesn't work for me. I realized that it really drained me to have people that made excuses, that people that weren't willing to do the work, that I would bend over backwards trying to come up with all these solutions. And it was a moot point because they were never going to change. They just didn't have any desire to change. And I had started this process. So I really set the bar for 2020 saying, if they're not going to do the work, I'm done. I started this really in 2018 when I let go of a long time client. This person took so much of my energy and focus, I couldn't do it anymore. The amount of time and energy to focus on this person was not worth the money I was making. I would feel mentally and physically and emotionally drained every single time I had a conversation with them. It just was not worth it. And so that I figured out where in my life, where I'm working, what are the big energy drains. Now, these are just a few examples. And as we wrap up this month, remember, we've been spending the entire month, I'm hoping 10 to 15 minutes a day, figuring out where your energy is being drained. But as we looked at all 5 areas this month. So again, my hope was kind of like the 10-minute decluttering tips I did a few years ago, to exercise our awareness muscle, because when we have awareness, then we can take action and it can change. Now, where are you being drained? Look at all areas, like your diet. A carb load, you might be like, woohoo, and then later you feel it. I always feel that way when I eat a donut. I haven't had it, probably been a couple of years since I had a donut. I'll be, oh, yum, 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 yum. And then I'm telling you, an hour later, I do not feel good at all. I feel really gross. I also read recently, and I need to do a little more research, that energy drink, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly enough, can drain your energy. So look at all areas, and your diet is one. Stress. What's causing you stress? The whole thing with the HOA was so incredibly draining for me. It took up so much mental energy. We downsized. That was really draining. I didn't realize the HOA thing at the end of the year was really draining. Getting the book published was exciting. It was draining because it was like running through molasses. Like, what? I didn't do a space and the book can't get published. All these bazillion things I had to keep going to get it done. So it just really took its toll. So stress, look at that. Multitasking, doing too much at once, trying to keep stuff going. One of the things that was very important to me when I wrote the books is we have take action plans, which shouldn't surprise you, but not taking on too much change at once. Kind of like what I'm doing with health. I'd been intermittent fasting for a while, couple months, and then we started keto. And I'm getting my exercise in 3 to 5 times a week and not pushing on that because I don't want to make too many changes too quickly. But look, multitasking can drain your energy levels. We can't multitask. Again, you can Google and find the studies, but that's something to consider. Kvetching. What are you complaining about? That can be really draining. Or if you are around people that kvetch a lot, that are whining and groaning and moaning, that can be super draining. Are you dehydrated? Are you drinking a lot of coffee? Because that can have the opposite effect and sap your energy. I'm not a coffee drinker. I will drink pumpkin spice coffee around the holidays, but coffee, I never liked coffee ice cream. So if I don't like it in ice cream, then I'm probably not like it as drink. So I rarely have it. Do you wonder about your chakras? Does the energy around you feel stuck, stagnant, or negative? How well are you aware of your intuition and follow its guidance? Have you found yourself taking on other people's feelings, emotions, and more? Ready to clear energetic clutter and have your space, home, mind, and heart feel good? Got Clutter 365 journal prompt energetic supports you in clearing your energy clutter. Free gift with purchase available at reawakenyourbrilliance.com, Amazon, Google Books, and more. Social media. Oh boy, do I find social media draining. How about you? Are you spending a lot of time on this even though it drains you? Do you feel like one of the things I'd say is part of that? Not about right and wrong for me. It's just the facts, ma'am. Whether it's draining, like, oh my gosh, they have so much, or it seems they never have to work, or when people just go off the rails. Your relationship. What relationships drain you? Really pay attention. You're hanging with someone and then you say, hey, see you later. How do you feel afterward? Do you feel drained? Or do you feel refreshed and revived? Do you feel good about yourself? We become like the people we hang with. So that's why I mentioned kvetching. If you're around people who are complaining all the time, then you're most likely to become that way. Pay very close attention because our relationships rub off on us. And they're just people, again, talking about my clients at the beginning. I made a foot in a boundary and said, I am not going to work with people that don't want to do the work. And I have to tell you, I got a nice little confirmation from the universe. I got a really wonderful email from someone who listens to the podcast, and he has inspired a couple episodes. But it was just a little confirmation. He had shared, I'm so proud of him, how he turned his life around and all the work he did. And I was like, aha, that's a little confirmation from the universe that you were doing the good thing. It's good for you to set this boundary. You know, you can get, oh my gosh, will I lose money? Will people never hire me again? You know, all that crazy spiral. But it's been one of the best things I've done. How is your sleep? I'm going to make sure that you're getting a good amount of Z's. If you feel tired all the time, you might want to get a sleep apnea test. Consider that, look into that. Really important to get a good 8 hours. So check in with that, because if you're not getting good sleep, you might be drained. Are you a perfectionist? Oh my gosh. I used to be a perfectionist. Boy, is that draining. Is that time consuming? And that is draining on every level. Not just the physical stuff, the mental stuff. It's exhausting trying to be something you're never going to attain. And especially if you worry about what other people think, it just takes up a lot of energy. And remember, when you are having that energy drain, it's still taking up space, right? Because you're just exhausted and you never, not deplete, what's the opposite of deplete? You never re energize, you never get that energy. It's just a continual depletion, and you never catch up. A cluttered desk and a cluttered life. How much clutter's in your life? The entire podcast is about, but clutter's draining. You know this, you lose peace of mind, it causes stress, you can be losing money, time, all of the above. How much clutter is in your life and how much stress is it causing you? And kind of its sister there, disorganization. Maybe you are pretty good, don't have a lot of clutter, but you're incredibly disorganized. And that's causing, again, stress, time, money, all that good stuff. Can you be more organized? What organizing can you do to quit depleting your energy? If you can't find your keys every morning, that's exhausting. If you lose the permission slip that your child needs that day and you're running around crazy, that's draining your energy. Not taking vacation, mental health breaks. Did you know you can't run like that? You need a mental break from it all. In Americans, some crazy stat, we never take vacation. I do not fall into that category. I always take vacation. Check in with yourself, because that's your chance to renew, recharge, and make sure you're doing it. Unplugging. If we are on social media all the time, if you're playing games all the time, if you're watching TV all the time, that can be really draining. That can be really draining. So how much time are you spending doing that? And again, you might say, well, hey, I listen to this podcast and that energizes me. Awesome. I really hope that it does. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the spending an entire weekend watching TV. And you know what? I'm not saying never do that. I've shared that I did that. I remember one time my husband and I really are behind the times. Like, we watched The Sopranos 10 years after it wrapped up. And so one weekend we just probably finished it then. We watched The Sopranos. But that was one weekend years ago. It's not something that we do regularly. So you might need to unplug to help get more energy. Now, I've given you some suggestions where you might be depleted. What other things drain you? This week, we're going to pay attention and figure that out and notice. Again, are there any patterns, like with people or situations? If you're able to notice that, even better. But if you just begin the process, oh, wow, I never realized how talking to my neighbor Susie really drains me because she's always complaining. Wow, that's good. You know what? So what do I need to do? So maybe next time Susie starts a conversation, I bring up something positive. Again, if you want to take that extra step and figure out a why or take action, but if we pay attention, that's what's most important. Now, I want to add a little caveat here. You might need to get your thyroid checked if you're feeling particularly drained, or you might have something like sleep apnea. So I encourage you, again, if you've been feeling really drained and physically exhausted for a while, there might be a health issue. So please take care of yourself and please see a doctor if necessary. I want you healthy and happy. Take actions from today's podcast. Set the intention to discover what and who drains you. Pay attention to where and with whom you're feeling sapped and exhausted. Look for any patterns you may have. Recognize any aha moments why you're allowing your energy to be drained. Plug any energy drains if you're able. Remember, you have a whole archive to explore. Now, this entire month, I focused on building pay attention and awareness muscles. So maybe you want to go back through this month and re-listen and take action on everything. You can refresh yourself by listening to what's in the archive. I always read Eat, Pray, Love every couple of years because I always feel like, oh, I missed that, or I wasn't paying attention to that, or wow, this is really significant in my life right now. So that's why I encourage you to maybe re-listen to an episode. You might have missed something that now you're like, oh my gosh, this is so applicable to what's going on. Go out, clear your clutter to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire. Clearing your clutter allows you to share your gifts with the world. Get your free self-assessment to discover your clutter priority at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. If you've enjoyed Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, please rate, review, and share us.